Bridget, thank you so much for joining us on the Harmony Hustle podcast. We're so happy to have you here. We're happy that you said yes. Before we get started, how are you? How are you feeling?
I am feeling fantastic. I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Aymanie, how are you?
I am fabulous. Now that we have our setup situated, I'm so
So,
excited to be here and I'm ready to dig into this conversation. I'm excited. What about you, Cheryl? How are you?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. I love being able to connect virtually and have conversation with both of you. So I'm feeling great. It's a great day outside. I love the fall weather. At least right now it's fall like,
Yes.
so I'm happy about
It's
that.
giving
It's
fall.
giving fall.
It's giving fall.
It
I
is.
love fall, but I don't know that I was ready for fall.
I wasn't ready. I was ready for some cooler weather, but definitely not
Yes.
like in the 50s. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Mm-mm.
Like,
Mm-mm.
I
It
still
just
want my
jumped to
plants
fall.
to still thrive.
Yeah,
I want them to have some
exactly.
more time to ripen and to,
Exactly.
do
Like, can
their
we
thing.
have a warning?
Yeah.
No,
Just a little warning.
no,
Hmm.
no.
So interestingly, Bridget, my first time getting to know you or meeting you was actually at one of Omni's event. It was for her Luck Academy, where I was there just to lend some insight on copy and things like that. And you were always just so very calm and approachable. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of work went into that. Well, no, I've always been like that, but yeah, thank you.
That's
A
lovely.
lot of work did go into that.
I think people don't realize how much work goes into giving that off to people, to the world.
Right,
Oh
right,
yeah. Oh, I
right,
can't wait for us to dig into that because it's a
right.
lot.
Hmm.
It's a lot.
Mentally, physically, and all
And,
between.
right. And then also the financial aspect of that as well, right?
Hmm.
Because I was telling a friend, I was like, I've been to so many workshops, like, shamanic practices and retreats and all of this, like all in the name of how can I figure out how to live my life better,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
How can I feel that this is not like I'm not having such a unique individual experience when it comes on to dealing with like things like trauma, hurt, pain, all of that stuff that can feel isolating, right?
Mm.
um I've done that work,
Mm.
and my
Mm.
friends, people don't really know, but it comes out in how I am. And so that's the behind the scenes of like doing that self-care, that self-love, taking that time to like really better yourself. Yeah.
Mm.
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 Yeah.
Mm.
Gee whiz. I'm telling you, and being the only one that look like me in those
Yes.
spaces
These
that's
spaces.
offering these like wellness retreats or workshops,
Mm.
and being sometimes the youngest as well too
Mm.
in those spaces. So it's been a ride. It's
Mm.
definitely been a journey. One that I'm like thankful that I said yes to
Mm.
when it came up for me, because that was a big ask
Yeah.
when I was so young, and it had me separate from my friends, right?
Mm.
Because my friends wanted
Mm.
to do other things. They weren't interested in going to yoga. Yoga was one of the first point of access for me when coming into like my own spirituality or my own understanding of what does this life
Mm.
mean, right?
Yes. Yes.
I grew up with my mom and my two brothers, and we've always went to church with my mom and all of this stuff. And one day I was just like, this is not fulfilling for me. There's something else that I need that I'm not getting here. And I remember telling my mom, like, yeah, I'm not going to church anymore,
Mm.
mom. Like, oh, I got to figure
Mm.
out my way. I got to figure out
How,
my way.
if I may, how old were you when you first were introduced into yoga?
Into yoga, I would say I was in high school. So
Okay.
you remember, there's a mall out here called West Farms Mall. And
Mm-hmm.
in that mall, there was a store called the Body Shop.
Oh
So
yeah.
the Body Shop was like a vegan, animal friendly, non-tested, but it's based on Ayurveda, right? Like
Mm,
the Ayurvedic
yes.
principles. And so I would love that store and get their body butters and all of this, smell goods. And they had this yoga book, which was like a flip book, that you learn, like an introduction to Ayurveda. What is Ayurveda? Um, the doshas, the chakras, the yoga, the meditation.
Mhm.
And I was like, I got that book. And that was my first like deep dive into Ayurveda and the different healing arts that comes under that umbrella.
And that's such a young age.
That's such a young age. Like I've always
Yes.
felt like I'm different than my peers, like the
Yeah,
people that I'm
yeah.
hanging out. Like I thought a certain way, but I felt like, group think. When you're in a group, you go along with the group, but I always felt like I was older, you know? I
Mm,
was more mature. I was like, yeah, this is not it.
mm,
Wow.
And
mm.
so
Wow.
when I graduated that summer after I graduated high school, I really heard like a voice that said, like, in essence, I don't remember exactly, but I remember hearing. And it was just like, yeah, you got to walk this path alone. Right. And so
Mhm.
that what that meant for me, because if I had to go anywhere, I'm calling my friends, you want to come with me? And everything was like a group activity, right? Like
Mhm.
I felt weird and awkward and maybe anxious, like going by myself or even thinking about going somewhere by myself. It felt like everyone was looking at me, and it just made me feel anxious, right?
Mm.
So this voice was just like, nope, you got to walk your path and go after the things that you're interested in. And so I started going to yoga at 19. I was 19 when I started going to yoga classes, and went by myself because my friends was
Mhm.
like, that's for like old white women.
Mm. Mhm.
And I'm like, but aren't y'all interested? Like they weren't.
Mhm.
They
They
weren't.
were.
And
Yeah.
so I knew like I was interested in how I felt about it. I had to go, and I had to go alone. And so because I went to, different yoga studios, and like I was the only one that looked like me.
Mm.
Mm.
And, I found a way how to connect and not make it about that. Because I needed to learn this system. I needed to learn this healing arts and get that in my body. There was something that was calling me to that. That was something familiar, something, you know, um, that my soul needed to reconnect with.
Mm.
Mm.
So you've definitely done like the deep work, and I think that I always feel this, and I don't know how Amini you feel about this, but I think that there are times when we have to do things alone because we're called to do something much greater than ourselves. We have things to share or disseminate to people so that they can be changed or improved. So I think that you were
Exactly.
called just for yourself as well, but obviously I think that what you have to give um, is meant to help a lot of people.
You know,
Absolutely. And your essence of it,
Mm.
kind of going back to how we all met. When I first met Bridget, it was a part of us being homeschooling mamas, right? But there was always this essence about Bridget that just exuding from every pore of her. And it's like anytime you were around her, you felt a sense of grounding, calmness. And so as our relationship began to develop more, even outside of being homeschooling mamas, right? It was going for massages. And I remember every single time we would get together, Cheryl, for
Mm.
massages, it was a
Mm.
thing. I mean, and but her, how she was so in tune, it's like she'll take a moment, she'll be like, okay, give me a second. Okay.
Love it.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
how she starts her
I love it.
practice. I love it. She's like, okay, wait.
yeah,
How are you feeling? And it's like she's dead on every
Mm.
single time. And then she's hitting those spots and those, and then you walk in there feeling like, okay. And then you like all of a sudden you can't breathe after a massage because she done released something.
Hmm.
And then it's like, oh my gosh. And then you walking away feeling like lighter. But this was always her. Like every pore of her.
Mm.
And so when she naturally progressed to, taking a yoga class to teach, I was like, it's about time.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
about time.
yeah.
What were you waiting for? But
That,
it wasn't her time.
Right, right.
But I knew.
man, that has been such a journey in itself. And So it's a lot of things that come online, especially with there's a name now where it's like oh my gosh, and I forgot the name, but it's basically multisensory, right?
Mm,
Mhm.
Abilities. And so I feel like a lot of us have these multisensory abilities, right? Whether we're clear, cognizant, clear sentient, clear audience,
mm,
either one of the clears,
yeah.
right? Where information comes to us through these different ways.
Mhm.
And it's not until like I started talking to other people who were very like not trained, but they were living that life and they knew about it. They were educated in that, right?
Right.
Yes.
That I was just like, oh, wait a minute. So I hear, right? I hear, I'm clear audience. I have that. I have other clears as well, but clear audience. So, like, when you were describing Omni, when you said, like, part of my process is like, okay, and you see me like close my eyes, I'm listening to what your body is saying to me, and I'm doing a scan, right? And this is something that I wasn't taught. This was just how I listened, right? You could tell me what's going on with you, and I'm listening to that, but I'm also listening to what you're not saying, but what your body knows,
Mm,
right? And it's a lot of it sounds like work, but it's not work. It comes through, but I have to be in that space of being able to allow that. So being grounded and being present is a big part of that, to allow for that listening to occur, and then allow for the intuition to come through, to be able to do the session in a way that the person on the table is able to receive that and to have that healing aspect for them. Yeah.
Mm.
so so in the moment, that's what you experience and what happens for you. Do you do certain things prior to your sessions, whether massage or yoga, that allows you to prep for your session and kind of get you in the mindset that you would like to be in or need to be in?
Yeah, so over the years, my practice with yoga, meditation, right, mindfulness, that comes through where I can do that now. I can drop in and be here now, but I had to I had to train. Like,
Mm,
going through massage school, we had a class that we did meditation. Meditate, that was the class. We were to keep a meditation
Mm.
journal, document what comes up for us. Like, we started off with doing 5 minutes,
okay.
and
Mm.
5 minutes sound like, oh, it's nothing. But when you have a busy mind,
Mm,
and when you are telling your mind, like, okay, we're going to be quiet for 5 minutes, it's suddenly like, oh, word, oh yeah, yeah. It shoots everything that it could possibly shoot at you, that is so random,
yeah.
just
All at
because,
once. All at once.
all at once, just because
Uh-huh.
you're giving it a task to say, we are going to be, we're gonna lessen that chatter, and we're gonna find that quiet space. And all of a sudden, I'm in that quiet space, or I'm just watching the whole ruckus in the background. I'm becoming the observer, and I'm seeing every random thought coming through, and I'm just raising my eyebrow, like, really? This is what's been going on the whole time? And 5 minutes, I'm like opening my eye, like looking at the clock, like, what? What? 2 minutes?
Mm, fun.
So it got to be from 5 minutes to 20 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour, right?
Mhm.
And so building that is just like, yeah. So for me, I try to find, like, is part of how I'm set up, the quickest
Mm.
way, the most sustainable way, how to get from A to B,
Mm,
right?
Yeah.
mm,
With
Yes.
preserving what needs to be preserved, right? Like,
Yes.
not taking shortcuts just to take shortcuts and losing some valuable things, but to keep the
Exactly.
valuable things and still be sustainable. But how is the sure and tried true way how to get to the next point?
mm,
And
Hmm.
so my journey have been like being the observer, observing myself, um being able to be present with the person that's in front of me. So when someone comes in, I'm like, I know where I'm at,
Yeah.
right? So say like the night before, and I'm looking at my schedule and it's a heavy, it's like the way how I'm feeling, I don't know if I have enough energy
Yes.
to make it through to the end, to the last session, the end of the last
Mm.
session. There's some techniques, there's some breathing techniques that I can do.
Okay.
There's some mindfulness about what am I gonna eliminate or not eat today,
Mm.
right? Or what
Mm.
do I need to eat, right? It usually is, am I gonna do coffee or not?
I hear that
Right?
Mm.
one.
Yes.
Am I gonna
Yes.
do
Yes.
coffee or not?
Mhm.
And so those are the type of things. And then how can I clear my mind? How can I shelf anything that's going on that's pulling me towards it, that's pulling me away from being in the present now?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that make it a bit more of a, I got to get this practice together, is knowing that the person on the table, they're going to know if I'm
Yes.
not there.
Mm. Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
You
Yes.
understand?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And so the pressure is on for
True.
that. So because of
Yes.
over the years, that's been the pressure. I had to be and stick and bring myself back to when I'm thinking about what's for dinner. Oh no, we're here. What's under my hand,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Under my hands. What am I feeling? So having tools to like bring me back to refocus is one of the things. And so that in total will be the mindfulness of like knowing where I'm
That's fun.
at
So
any given point.
Yeah.
So that brings up another question for me, if I may. So, do you find that, I'll pose it as a question, are you doing anything in the mornings? Like, do you have a ritual that you do consistently so that when you are in these spaces and you have to, okay, let me get centered, it makes it a bit easier? Or do you kind of just go with the flow throughout the day, not really a ritual, and then you're still able to tap in when you need to tap in? Do you notice a difference either way? I know that's like a loaded question.
It is. And so it's been, because routine is another part for me where it's like I rebel, right?
Okay.
Apart from the washing the face, brushing the teeth, right?
Uh-huh,
In the
uh-huh, uh-huh.
shower.
Yeah.
Um, it's like no. So for me, how it works is I have yoga, I have meditation. I'm able to be more mindful where I can know where I'm at. I can really sense like what does today feel like, right? And I usually check in with what does the day feel like for me? Does it feel like, it's more mellow and chill? And I'm like, that's the vibe I'm on. Sometimes it's like spicy, and I'm like, ooh, this could be, we gotta tighten up. We gotta keep our head on a swivel because, there's some things that could be very sparky, and
Yes.
so usually what centers me is having that quiet time in my morning, in my rising,
Mhm.
Okay.
where I have to myself, where I can, check in with how I'm feeling. I have some, I would say, like different tools, different listening things that I listen to, like maybe a meditation,
Mm.
a spirit quest, like a visual guided meditation that helps to just like center me if I'm feeling very anxious. Um I can do anything. For me now is it becomes a meditation. Because
Mm.
it's all about being able to be mindful, knowing where I'm at, what's going on,
Mhm.
and sorting that out so that I can put whatever it is aside and be where I need to be because I have my finger on it.
Mm.
So when I feel my day is full and I've done so much listening, right? Because I'm listening. I'm always in contact that way. Then I'm on my mat,
Mm.
right? I'm on my yoga
Mm.
mat. And sometimes that looks like I'm just, I'll tell people like I'm just rolling around on my mat, because
Mm,
it's more of an intuitive type of
Mhm.
movement. It's not necessary about, a routine or sequence, but it's just the fact that my mat is always set up in my room, right? It's
mhm,
always an open invitation. I got my
mm,
yoga mat with my meditation pillow, and I got my props, I got my notebooks over there. And
mm,
so it's always an open invitation for me that if I need that, it's there. So my life is based on having so many different tools in my tool belt that whatever it is that I need, I can draw for it and I can
mm,
use it. Because it never yoga was, man, I had a even with meditation, even though I've been doing meditation for years, like I've had a few years where I was just like, that's not it. It's not to sit down and
mm.
be in silence was not happening for
Mm.
me. I could not find myself to settle down and find that quiet. I was just distracted and I was going with the distraction, you
Yeah.
know? And so I took the pressure off of myself to be like, well, let's just be more mindful, and that's our meditation, right?
Mhm.
Let's roll around on the mat, do some intuitive
Yes.
stretching, and just feel in my body and let that extra energy go where it needs to go.
Mm,
And that's it. So no judgment, right? That was a big
mhm.
part of it, was taking away the judgment, or taking away the things have to look a certain way for it to
Yes.
work,
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
know?
As you're speaking, it makes me think about different times in life, whether it's prepping for this interview or when I have taught a class, what I've done to prepare to get myself in the right mindset. And so I don't have names for it all, but I know I was telling Aymanie earlier that for me, even down to, like you're saying, a spicy day or calming, relaxing, for me, it's about scents and textures too. So I'll put on perfumes that smell a certain way that relax me, but just tapping into
Mhm.
how I'm feeling, do I feel my heart racing? And so I start breathing a little bit differently, close my eyes, think about and kind of imagine what's about to happen. So that helps me
Yeah.
get into that space where I can approach whatever it is. And you're right. I think people definitely know how you're feeling.
Yeah.
We sense each
Pick it
other,
up.
right? So
Yeah.
if I'm
Exactly.
anxious, if I'm um, agitated, everyone else will be as well. And so as if we're working with people, we have to be in control of our own emotions as well, as best as we can, obviously.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That part,
Self-regulating.
and being prepared for your day, right? So even with setting up my massage
Mm,
space. So at the close of my day, I make it a point to set up for the next session,
mm,
right? Because if I left it for, well, I'm gonna go in early, before my session start and clean up and set up and all of that stuff. I've ran into, I'm in traffic. Now my client is me, they're there before me.
Yes. Yes.
Now I'm in the room, and first of all, I'm anxiety coming in,
mm,
right?
mm.
I'm anxiety itself rolling on in. Um and I got to set up, so now I'm hot, I'm flustered, I'm all over the place, like, I'm just like, I feel so bad that they have to wait for me, and now I have to clean up and set up the room like it's not already prepped. I've had a couple of those instances, and my personality type is I don't like that.
Mm, mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it doesn't feel
It doesn't
good,
feel good.
and I lose a lot of information in that
Mm,
process.
Mm.
Challenging for me to find my grounding to start the session.
yeah.
Mm.
And that's the part where I'm like, well, how can I take that away? Right. So that even if I'm late for whatever reason, which is not often at all, but just in case, right? Anything, there could be an accident, there could be something going on that, detours and all of that, unplanned emergency, all of those things that cause you to start a session
Yeah.
later. Um, I set my room up, and so it's walk-in ready.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
So for me, that takes a lot of the anxiety out.
Mm.
Exactly.
And that's me preparing the space. So even if they're there and they're in the waiting room for me, I could just say, all right, open up the door. Okay, come on in, turn on light,
You're
we're
right.
ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yes.
And so that to me is me being in control of my emotions,
Mm.
right? How is I'm
Yes.
able to ground
Mm.
that, and being prepared. Being prepared
Yes.
is a big part of it. So it is in the prep.
Yeah.
So tell me, how do you handle it if you've been in this situation where someone's come in for either a massage or maybe it was their very first yoga experience and they weren't really comfortable? Perhaps there was some preconceived, ideas of what yoga was, right? And we'll talk a little bit about because I want to understand some of the myths that you may have heard so you can kind of like bust those myths from your perspective. But how do you handle someone coming into a space that's really like kind of
Mm.
standoffish, not really feeling comfortable? Like, how do you deal with that?
So with the massage, I'll do a massage first and then I'll go into the yoga.
Okay.
With massage, there's a lot. There can be a lot there because it's such an intimate work. It's such an intimate space. For if this is my first time meeting a client, this is their first time meeting me, and the big ask is for them to get undressed and get on a
Mm.
table, right? With a stranger,
Right.
right? That's a big puts them in a
Yes.
big vulnerable space, and that's a
Yes.
big ask, right? So a part of that I sense is for me is to give them they feel my energy. I love what I do, and I meet them where they are,
Mm.
right? So I meet them where they are. It's not about me giving this awesome massage and you're going to feel great and all of that, because I can't promise you that, right? That you'll feel great. I can't promise you
Mhm.
that. And so for me, it's about what do they need to know so that they can see it in their mind's eye so they could say, yeah, or maybe not, right? But it gives them the power. And that to me is in letting them know you could tell me what you need to tell me if you're not comfortable. Like if it is it the temperature of the room, I can change that. Is it the type of music? Just let me know that is not what you want to hear. I can change that. Is it the lighting? I can do what I can mostly do for that. Is it the pressure of the touch? I can always adjust that. Is this like I'm not here to do to you. I'm here to help you,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And that takes an active participation. So to calm the nerves, we start talking about, and I start giving them like a history of how I came into massage therapy and what my focus is, or how massage therapy comes through me. I'm more of a holistic, approach where
Mhm.
the body tells the story. There's the Eastern side of how we look at the body and the energetic feel. So I have a bit of training in traditional Chinese medicine that allows me to, give people the information. Say, if you're coming in and you're dealing with anxiety, right? Or you have a lot of worry and stress, and you're like, oh, my lower back, is aching. And I'm like, well, have you been
Mm.
hydrating? They were like, yeah, I'm pretty hydrated. Um, I'm like, well, the kidneys are in the lower back area, and the kidneys energetically deal with, courage and fear, right? So anxiety, right? If you're feeling anxious or if you have worries and all of that, that'll deplete the energy of the chi of the
Mm.
kidneys. So we could look at that to say, well, how's your days been? What's been on your mind, right? So we get into the story of everything matters. How you feel matters. That tells a story because the body processes that and it shows up in a certain way in certain organs. And so usually it's through the education part,
Mm.
right? Um, that, and then explaining how the session is going to go, right?
Mm.
How you're going to be draped, how you're going to be covered, what's going to be unclothed. You could leave your underwear on. You could leave whatever it is that you need on, and I can work through that, around that, whatever it is. Um, and it's an open conversation. And so
Mm.
we have that in the beginning, and then usually, um, they start to feel settled because they have some understanding of what this work is for
Mhm.
me. With yoga, the biggest misconception is that you got to be flexible to do yoga, and that yoga is, you know you're gonna be all zen and all of that. And it's like, no, I had to tell somebody the other day, like, yoga is a battlefield. Like, you can be on your mat and it's a battle today, because what you think, when the instructor is inviting you into a different pose, right, into a different form, a different shape, you can feel like, oh, I could do that. And your mind is like, yeah, I can do that. I'll get into that. And your body's like, no, we can't. Not right
Mhm.
now. You're on the mat, and that is a bit of a resistance between the mind and the body right there. So you have a decision to make, right? In that real time
Yeah.
moment. Are you going to honor what your body is saying? Are you going to push through with what your mind is telling you
Mm.
and force your body into that form?
Wow. Mm.
And so that's why I say yoga is the battlefield.
I agree.
So it's all about, the union between the mind, body, and spirit. And so the mat is the place where you get to really see where you are with that. And
Mm.
not for judgment, not necessarily for adjustments either, but just for that awareness, right? And
Mm.
sometimes just for that allowing and being able to listen to yourself that way.
Mm. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mentioned before, I can tell that you have so much to give in ways to help people. And then there are misconceptions that people have about yoga or massage or just being in certain wellness spaces. So, with all of that, how do you navigate being an entrepreneur and helping people with that and expanding and reaching more people? What does that look like for you?
Oh, there's some things that work. Being charismatic
Yeah.
is a big part of, like, is a big part loving what you do, right? And when you love what you do, it just comes through. And so that's the part for me where it's just like, um that helps with the
Mm,
energy, because people love to feel that energy. And when you start talking about it, you get into the details of what it is, then you could probably get them to try it, you know so becoming an entrepreneur for me was me taking it into my hands, the way how I wanted to practice and run my business. um mostly from the heart,
mm,
you know what I mean, because it's for the love of it, for people to have these different tools in their tool belts that they can use whenever they need it. And it puts them, like, moving along in their own personal journey, of personal growth,
mm,
right? Even with yoga too, is like, the is this, like, interfering with my
right.
religion, right?
That's the
Yeah.
common
Because
one.
that's a common
That's a
one,
common one.
because they hear the chants and the
Hmm.
language, and, like, and it's not a religion. Yoga is not a religion. It's an ancient healing art,
Mm,
right? It's an ancient healing technology. It started in Kemet in ancient Egypt, right? You see it with the hieroglyphs, right? You see them in those different poses. And then it went to India, and Indians expanded on that,
mhm,
right? So this has been around 3,000, 4,000 years,
mhm,
and it's definitely a science. And so there is And there is the answer in massage therapy as well, which is the manipulation of soft tissue,
Mm,
right? Where it's regulating for both massage and yoga, regulating our nervous systems.
Mm,
And as we know, that's how we
mm,
live our
mm,
life is with this nervous
absolutely.
system.
it's so
How
important.
how's
Yeah.
our coping
Connected to everything.
mechanism? Yeah, right. And so that's what it does. And so massage therapy is to release tension, muscular
Hmm.
tension, improve circulation, blood flow, um, oxygen, bring oxygen rich blood into areas that were stagnant, revitalize like your chi, your energy, your energetic pathways,
Hmm.
um, stretch the muscles and help them become more flexible so you have better range of movement, take pressures off of joints, right? There's a lot of ailments that we have like arthritis and needing surgeries, you know what I mean, to replace joints and stuff. Massage therapy helps to, in a lot of cases, helps to prevent having to have those types of
Mm,
surgeries because it deals with repetitive
yeah.
use of the muscles. And if we're not stretching and lengthening the muscles, then they're staying in a shortened state and they're not getting enough blood flow and they're not being able to repair themselves that like they need to be, right? Yoga for mental, well, both for mental clarity, but yoga for feeling in your body and also to have that quiet space that allows you to adjust
Hmm.
in your body mentally, also in your body physically,
Right.
and
Mm,
to feel from the inside out like what's going on in your body.
Hmm.
We move around and we have no idea, like, oh, I didn't know my back was like that.
Right.
mm, mhm, mhm,
I didn't know I didn't have a good range of movement with my arms being able to move it, all the way
Mm,
back. And so you learn those things about your body when you're being asked to, go into different poses and do these things. And it
yes.
also wakes up those tissues. It makes them activated, brings them back online. And that's also dealing with the nerves and having that type of information. Where's your body in space and time? You have a
hmm.
better perception of that.
Interesting.
Mhm. I do have a quick question. I was just thinking about this. What would happen if a person, let's say, has like a lot of knots in their bodies, but they're not having any type of therapeutic massages or any of that? What happens if that goes untreated?
Untreated, like the extreme case would be surgery.
Okay.
It would be um disease.
Hmm.
It could be, right?
Yes.
Because there's a correlation between how you're feeling and how your body processes that, right? So it could be immune disorders. Um, it can be syndromes. How are you processing or not processing um, trauma, pain, hurt?
Mm,
You know, the body keeps the score. That's a book,
yeah.
It
right? The
is.
body keeps the
Yes.
score. It goes somewhere, and it builds, right? Um, so yeah, pain, a lot of pain, less range of movement. Sometimes, like if you've had those moments when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I got a crick in my neck, I can't even, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, you give it a couple of days and you're like, I feel better, and I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
move a little bit, but not as wide as you
Mm,
usually could before. It doesn't go away. It's just that the brain stops listening to what the nerves are sending it because it's just like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's old news. You keep sending us that message that something is going on here, and we keep trying to do something, and we did that thing and it's not, so we're going to shut down and focus on a new pain
Mm,
or a new information somewhere else. So those muscles are still, banded together, right, with the muscle fibers that cause that restrictive movement. You still have restricted blood flow in the area, so you're not getting so much oxygen rich blood that's able to carry on the cellular activity of like moving things in and out, so that you have less metabolic waste that's built up in the
mhm,
tissues.
Mhm.
So that causes for, you will have healthier tissues and fibers that way. So very painful life.
Well, as you were talking,
That
you,
was,
you mentioned crick in the neck. I wake up in the morning with a crick in my neck sometimes, or often these days. So
yeah.
it made me think, because we talked about the misconceptions, and even when you started, there weren't a lot of people who looked like us in yoga spaces. If it's important to you to reach as many people, like how do you see yourself doing that in business? So you reach someone like me who only because of this conversation and meeting you briefly before that I have learned about the benefits of these two modalities.
Wow. So it has taken me, I feel like, up until now moment. Like yesterday I had a two yoga workshops. And so it was a fun filled day and I felt like really, like so good and so grounded in my body. And I was just reminded, that yeah, I need to start teaching. I need to start teaching. I need to start really like putting myself out there, because a part for me is I'm very introverted, even though I love people and I speak and I show up and I can be social. I love a lot of
Mm.
solitude. And when I think about, being in front of people, when I think about it before it's happening, I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
and and all the thoughts come up and I'm just like, well, am I, you know, certified enough? Like,
Mm.
do I have
Mhm.
enough? Like, who am I? Like, here comes the imposter
Right.
syndrome,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And these doubtful questions, like I need to do more, and
Yeah.
then I need to do this and then.
Mm.
And I keep hearing like, Bridge, like, no, you got it now.
Yes.
And so being in community and listening and trusting, the people who are in my community and listening to the words that they have, I'm like building my
Yeah.
courage, building my
Yes.
courage. And so this is a part of me doing that. This is like a breakthrough
Yeah.
part for me, stepping into that field, that realm, and it's very new
Mm.
for me and I'm excited about
It's
that.
always I love
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
So I don't know if you are aware. I'm still licensed to teach Zumba, but just you have to remind yourself all the time that you are enough, you have enough, and as long as you are
Yes.
able to
Yeah.
reach one person, that one person will help another person, and it grows from there. But it is. I'm an introvert as well, so it's being able to get out and say, okay, I'm going to do the
Yeah.
thing. I'm prepared. I know my stuff, and just roll with it, and everything, all your energy will
That
go out.
part.
It'll come back with people who you're able to help the way you're supposed to. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Uh,
We'll
it's the
get there.
perfection. It's the
I
perfection
get it.
part. I
Mm.
was telling
It's
someone
real.
yesterday at the workshop, and so it was a yoga workshop on
Mm,
resiliency, right? How are you resilient? How does that show up in your life?
Mm.
And one of my answers to that was, my ability to try again, right? And so as I'm listening to you, Cheryl, say that, I'm reminded like it's not perfect. I'm not shooting for
mm-mm,
perfect. It's probably gonna come out a little bit different than how I see it and imagine it in my mind's eye. And I still will have the ability to keep changing and trying something new and working what
Yes.
needs to work. And so I'm like, oh, when I say it like that, I'm like, oh, so it's not a one and done. We're not looking for a one and
mm-mm.
done. It's always being
Yeah,
active
The
and
journey.
going with that flow. Whatever shows up,
Yes.
however people show up for the classes, for the sessions, is what we need to work with. And that's it. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna always try. I know that about myself. I know that I'm going to always try, because I've proven that to myself. When I'm in something and I'm interested in it, I'm going to
Mm,
try, and I'm going to try
mm.
again. And so that is part of like being an entrepreneur. That's part of, that's part of the harmony and the
Sure
hustle.
enough.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what it is. It's like
Yes.
finding new ways, adjusting, and like it's a spiritual journey. Like the entrepreneur journey is also a spiritual one, because there
Yes.
you cannot go past what your
Mm,
limit
mhm.
is. And so whenever you come up against something that's a challenge for you, it's like you always got to go back within to figure out how do I need to sort myself out, what's going on here that I need to adjust and learn or let go or heal, and so that's the part for me that makes it so much of a beautiful life being here on this planet, where
Mm.
it always comes back to
Yeah.
me.
Mhm.
Right, it always comes back to me, and that radiates out, and I'm able to give from that.
And
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you just dropped some gems, because my question was going to be, what tips would you have in closing for entrepreneurs? And I heard a few, right? I heard keep trying,
Yeah.
go inwards,
Yeah.
right? Listen, continue to work on yourself internally. Give me a third one. What would be your third tip for an entrepreneur that's looking to really take their business to that next level, or someone who has a hobby that's looking to kind of like monetize it to get into entrepreneurship? What would your tip be for them?
I would say to really learn all there is that you need to learn about what it is that you're embarking on. So whether if it's a craft that you're getting into, learn that craft, like, perfect it the best way that you could. Bring your connection to that craft, right? Like, why did it show up for you? Why is this so important for you to embark on this? What did it mean for you? What is it
Mm.
teaching you? What is it showing you? And I'll give another one too. Another one is to be gentle with yourself, because this is your first time here being a human
Yep.
in this life,
Mm,
We
right?
all trying to figure it out.
Like we're figuring some things out. We're babies.
Yes.
We don't have this like handbook that we're reading and it said like, yeah, to be a perfect human, this is it. Like, to be successful, this is it. No. We have some guidelines, yeah, but be gentle with yourself and to know that, listen, you're going to fall down, but find your way to get
mm,
back up. You got to there's a gazillion billion, different tools that are
mm,
out here, for you to use to help build yourself, to help challenge like those thoughts of like, the imposter syndrome, because that comes up. It might not stop coming up. It comes up, but then how do you deal
mm,
with that so you can still move forward? It's in the tools. So be on the lookout for tools that can aid you on your journey. You
mhm.
know. So that's what it
That's
is.
lovely.
That's
Thank you
what it
so
is.
much for that.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
I know I can't
welcome.
wait to get on your massage table and take your class, yoga class. So, for anyone else who's going to listen to
It's
this,
an
mhm,
experience.
isn't
It's an
it?
experience. It's
So,
an
for anyone who has
experience.
not, how would they get a hold of you to book your services, take a class?
So I'm on the look. So I have, let's say, I'm in a transitional stage, right, of really closing out my massage
Okay.
practice
For
to
some people.
right
Can
to
I be
new
added in before you
people, and
close out?
right, yes,
I'm grandfathered
I'm
definitely,
in.
gonna sneak my way in.
definitely, for sure. So yeah, and that has taken me, because I've been practicing almost 20
Okay.
years now. And I mean, I'm definitely pulled to yoga, and I'm so enthusiastic and so like, it's just yummy, and I want to dive all the way in. And so I'm closing out massage the end
Okay.
of the year, that practice, and I'm starting up my yoga practice. Still building now, but you can find me on for the most part on social media where I will start putting out more information about where to find me for yoga, yoga classes and things of that sort. So I am at the real Bridgie B. So that is BRIDGIE B. The real
Love it.
Bridgie B. That's my family called me that when
I
I
love
was
it.
younger. And call me
Bridgie.
Bridgie, and so I'm like,
That's it. Yeah.
yeah, we'll go with that. So you can find me
Love
that on Instagram
Okay.
mostly.
Love it.
Mostly.
Thank you so much.
it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
This
This was
was, I
fun.
enjoyed it. I love the
This was fun.
conversation.
This was
Yeah.
fun. Well,
Thank
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you. We enjoy this
Absolutely.
conversation and we are absolutely looking forward to doing it again.
Yes.
Same. I'm on a high. I'm like, let's
Good, good.